This is Trophy Gold, the Ghost of Mistmoor. I want to have all of us introduce ourselves first, and I'll note here that we may be joined by a fourth player at some point. That's still a little up in the air. If we are joined by that person late, we will introduce them as well. But when I call on you, please say your name, your pronouns, and anything else you'd like for us to know about you. Your history with gaming, with Trophy, maybe anything at all is fine. I will start, however. My name is Jason. I use he, him. They is also fine. I am the publisher of Trophy, and I run a lot of Trophy Dark and Trophy Gold. I'm very fond of them. And yeah, it's been a really, really cool way to experience these older modules like we're going to do today. I will now go to Blaine.
Hey everyone, I'm Blaine. I use he, him pronouns. I am the host of You Are Not Alone. It is a 1v1 horror actual play podcast where each episode I sit down with a guest and use a horror RPG to tell deeply intense and personal horror stories. I've gotten to run Trophy and a few rooted in Trophy games for You Are Not Alone. And I've gotten to play Trophy Gold quite a few times now with Jason and the Gauntlet folks. So I'm really excited to view some of my old first and second edition D&D past through the lens of Trophy Gold.
Fabulous, thank you. Adrian.
Hi, I'm Adrian, he, him pronouns. I've played Trophy a couple of times too. One of the campaigns that is kind of on break at the moment took us all the way through Spelljammer right at the moment that Wizards is probably bringing it back. So that's fun. So if that brought us this far, let's see what this brings us to. I'm looking forward to it.
It might just be the backyard of this haunted house, but we'll see. Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark. I play and run lots of games. I've only played Trophy Gold once with another game that Jason ran many months ago, but I enjoyed it a lot, and I really enjoyed the chance to be able to run through an old module from my AD&D days, through Trophy. So I'm just really happy to be here and excited to play.
Awesome, thank you. Mark, what are your pronouns?
Oh, my pronouns are he, him, or they, them. Either one's okay by me.
Perfect, thank you. Can you remind me what we played together? Which dungeon was it? Do you recall?
It was the Bruja, the Beast.
Oh, the Bruja, the Beast, and the Barrow. Oh, yeah,
yes.
yeah, okay, yeah. That's right. We had you for like one session, basically. Yeah, that was fun.
I got my nose ripped off.
I got it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I do remember that now. Okay, good. That continued going for a little bit. It was really fun. Terrific. Well, let's go ahead and do CATS. CATS is a procedure, an acronym that stands for concept, aim, tone, and subject matter. I like to do it before every game just to establish some basic expectations about what we're going to be doing during this special weekend-long Halloween special series that we're doing, Ghost of Mistmoor. And so the concept of Trophy Gold, everyone knows it here, but just for people watching the video, the concept of Trophy Gold is it is a dungeon crawl game. You are playing desperate treasure hunters going into the forgotten places of the world in order to find treasure, in order to pay the money you need to achieve some kind of drive. And so that is, it's very, very classic kind of dungeon crawl kind of aesthetic, but mechanically it's much more of a story game. It has lots of collaborative world building. It has different mechanics that allow you to really shape and adjust the fiction as a player. And so that's kind of what makes it stand out. It's part of a series of games, part of the Trophy family. I'm wearing my Trophy t-shirt. There's another game called Trophy Dark, which functions a little differently. It has a different kind of story. The concept of Ghost of Mistmoor, I'm not going to say too much about it, except to say that it is a dungeon module from Dungeon Magazine number 35, published in 1992. You cannot get your hands on it anymore legally that I'm aware of. There are loads of illegal places to find it. It's generally regarded as one of the better haunted house dungeons, and that's what it is, and that's why we're doing it for this Halloween weekend thing. It is not a super combat heavy dungeon. It's actually really light as far as that goes. It's much more about the mystery of this Mistmoor Manor and the sort of haunting that's taking place there. So that's sort of the idea behind it. In terms of, let's moving on through cats now, aim. So the aim of the characters is pretty straightforward. Go into the place and find treasure. That's easy. The aim of you as players is to tell us more about your character. So in the beginning, the characters are very sketchy. We know just sort of some basics about them, and we know that they have this drive. One of your main aims as a player is to be thinking about that drive and how that drive informs your character's backstory and what they're all about. And so throughout the course of the game, I'll be sort of, I'll be kind of like asking you questions to sort of draw that story out. And then our aim as a play group, we are going to play 3 sessions of Trophy Gold in order to hopefully complete the Ghost of Mistmoor dungeon. I feel very confident we'll finish it. And I think that I want to say that like you will be tempted to sort of like play in a way almost like at a convention where you want to just kind of burn through the character because you know that we're going to be done in 3 sessions, but you never know. I frequently like keep games going, right, that I had not planned. I will often just like chime in with a group of players and say, hey, I'm going to run this. Let's get those characters back together and do this, right? So, play dangerously, but also play to protect your character because you might see this character again. You never know, right? So that's worth pointing out. In terms of the tone, this is a horror is maybe a little heavy-handed. It's not quite horror. It's more like spooky and creepy kind of scenario. It's very much a ghost story. And so that's sort of the vibe. A sort of ghost story vibe is what we should be aiming for. In terms of subject matter, there's nothing in the module that is particularly subject matter. It's worth pointing out subject matter wise. I will say that it does have a plot line involving like quite a lot of, we'll say like trauma, like childhood trauma, because it's a ghost story. And so just kind of be aware of that. I've also cleared it with Blaine already, but one of the major NPCs is called Blaine. And so, but Blaine's already told us that's okay. And so just be aware of that. We are going to have some safety tools on the table. The first is going to be the open door policy. You can leave for any reason. You don't have to hang around if you don't want to. And that's totally fine. The second is the X card. So the X card in this context means if something happens in this story or in the game that you find to be objectionable for some reason, you can say X card or type it in the chat and we'll stop and make an adjustment. And I might ask what is being X carded, but I won't ask why. And then we'll also have lines and veils. We're going to be doing lines and veils on the character keeper itself. There's a tab for it, which we'll talk about in a moment. I'm going to go and just say what mine are, and I'll mark them on the tab so you can see what it looks like. But I'm going to say that we're not going to have any sexual violence. I'm going to put that behind a line. Lines are things that we're not going to do. And then for veil, I'm going to put torture. I'd prefer not to role play torture. I'm okay with it being in the game. I don't know why it would, but I just don't want to RP that. So once we get ready to do character creation and stuff, I'll show you the tab and you can go in and mark your lines and veils as you wish. That's it for cats. Any question about cats or about the just sort of big picture, like what we're going to be doing? Okay. In that case, let's go ahead and do character creation. Now, this part we're going to do off recording, so listeners will be back with you in just a moment, or viewers of the video. Okay, we're back. So let's go ahead and introduce the characters. At this point, all I need are just the basics. So your name, your occupation, your background, your drive, what skills you have, and then what rituals you chose. So essentially just the things that you had to pick for character creation. And then at this point, if you know anything about your character's backstory or what motivates them apart from their drive, or in addition to their drive, or like just kind of anything else you want to tell us about them, you can tell us that as well. But as long as we have the basics, we're good to go. We'll go in order of the sheet here. So Mark, tell us about Talbot.
Okay, Talbot is his pronouns are he, him. He is an antiquarian with the background cured beast bitten. His drive is to earn the right to his family's name. Skills are artifacts, myths, obfuscation, and transformation. His backpack equivalent is a bag of hard candies, a shining knife, a winter wolf pelt, and his combat equipment is a heavy coat. His rituals are hasten, beacon, and wail, and his starting ruin is 4. And what I imagine for Talbot's background, I actually doing the name itself is kind of a little Universal Monsters reference. But so the concept for him is that Talbot is from a long line of tenured scholars at a university. His grandmother, wrote many things, great scholar. His mother wrote many things, great scholar. He himself, not that bright, but wants to follow in the family's name. Unfortunately, he also follows the family curse, and he knows that the reason his family delves so much into intellectual pursuits is because they have a deep history of a horrible beast curse that has been put upon them and explodes at very inopportune times. So he's hoping that by gaining the knowledge of Mistmoor, he might be able to become as respected a scholar as his ancestors.
I love it. Thank you. I don't think I have any questions at this point. So I will just go ahead and go on to Adrian's character, Sister Rena.
So I'm playing Sister Rena. Her pronouns are she or they. And her occupation is a leech or a nun, rather, with some kind of medical background. But she actually used to be an errant knight. That's her background. She's still carrying a sword. Her drive is pay the toll of the Emerald Bridge. I think that's because she's not too old. She's probably like in her mid-30s. But she got into, she became a nun maybe 3-4 years ago, and the big shrine or big center of the faith that she chose is beyond the Emerald Bridge. So that's why she wants to get there. Her skills are forensics, herbs, surgery, and dueling, because she has this fighter background or knight background. Her rituals are a bottle and switch. She's carrying troll blood, a jar of glowworms and vermin repellent, as well as a shield and a longsword. Her burdens are 3, and her starting ruin is 3.
I love it. Thank you. Let's go to Blaine and Mouse.
See, I'm playing Mouse. Pronouns are he, him. Mouse is a nickname that he got because I think he's probably in his early 30s, but if you just saw him walking down the street, you might assume he was still a kid. He's 5'2", very scrawny, kind of disheveled hair. And Mouse is a smuggler and an escaped cultist. And I think Mouse, as a kid, was a member of this cult called the Court of the Crimson Stain. And he eventually escaped, and the smuggling he does now is less contraband and more trying to get people out of the cult. And my drive is destroy the works of Agino, the debauched painter. And I think Agino was the leader of our cult and had actually found a way to infuse cultish magic into his paintings. And so one of the things I do while trying to rescue people from this cult is also find and destroy these paintings that have the power to do evil. Skills are dexterity, spontaneity, stealth, and deception. I think I took one ritual. I think that Mouse is kind of wary about using magic because of his background. But he took the darkness ritual. He learned this and uses it occasionally because it is too useful in his job as a smuggler not to occasionally use. Starting equipment are torches, lockpicks, and a small bell. And he has chainmail hidden under the kind of baggy clothes that he wears, and a small sharp blade. So his starting burdens are 3, and his starting ruin is 2.
Fantastic. I love it. Oh, we have to fill in starting burdens for Talbot. Your starting burdens are going to be 3, Talbot. So.
Thank you.
Mechanically, if you don't meet your burdens in gold, gold is an abstract concept in this game. It just means like the amount of treasure you found. If you have to abandon the mission before you've met your burdens, then your character is retired from play. So they are cursed to never fulfill their drives, die in destitution and poverty, and we stop caring about them. So meet your burdens.
That's rough.
It is indeed. Let's talk a little bit about the rules, actually. So we're going to learn as we play for those of us who need to be refreshed on it. But essentially, I want to go over just some big kind of ideas in the gameplay. And probably the most significant idea in the gameplay, well, there's a couple. The first is this idea of hunt roll tokens and the spending of hunt roll tokens. So as you are exploring the this haunted house, you will be acquiring this currency called hunt roll tokens. And you can spend a hunt roll token at any time to get a treasure worth 1 gold, thereby getting you 1 step closer to matching your burdens. You can do that whenever you want, and you can find a treasure wherever you are as long as you spend the hunt roll token. Alternatively, as a group, you can spend 3 hunt roll tokens to satisfy whatever the current set goal is. Now, a set goal is something about that particular location of the dungeon that either can be revealed or acquired. And the idea here is this is mostly out of character information. It's something you decide as a play group that you want to do. And so you can spend the hunt roll tokens collectively to accomplish that set goal. Sometimes it's to learn something about the story. Sometimes it's to find a particularly fabulous treasure. There's different things, right? But you can, that's one of the ways of achieving the set goals is to spend those tokens. You can also achieve the set goal just because you managed to learn it or discover it naturally through play. Your characters just happen to stumble into the right place or they happen to find the thing. And so Trophy Gold kind of operates at this slightly out of the character mode sometimes. Like whenever you spend a hunt roll token, you're doing that as a player to give your character a treasure, right? Whenever you spend 3 to accomplish a set goal, you're doing that as players in order to accomplish something in the story, right? Another way that the game operates bouncing between in character and out of character is through the ways that you as players get to twist the fiction around, right? And so there is one particular way called the risk roll. So the risk roll is what you roll whenever you are trying to accomplish something risky, right? That's not combat. Combat's a different thing. And part of the risk roll is this thing called the Devil's Bargain. And so as you're building your die pool, at a certain point, the other players and myself can offer you a Devil's Bargain to give you more dice, right? The thing about the Devil's Bargain is this is something that will happen in the fiction no matter what. Like whether you succeed or whether you fail, by taking the Devil's Bargain, this thing is going to happen in the story. So to give you an example of how Devil's Bargains works, or Devil's Bargains at work, let's say that you are trying to jump across a chasm, right? And so that's a risk roll. And people start making their Devil's Bargains. And so one person says, okay, no matter what, you're going to drop your sword down the chasm. You know, if you succeed, you'll drop it. It'll just slip off your belt. If you don't succeed, it'll be dropped because you're also dropping down the chasm, right? But in any case, that's the bargain, right? And so you can take that, and if you do, you get your die. Somebody else, well, there are lots of offers. You can pick one of them. Somebody else might offer, that's interesting, but how about this? You jump across the chasm, and no matter what, this person who that you had a torrid romance with that you'd rather not find right now, that you'd rather not encounter right now, they're on the other side of the chasm, and then that's so you can choose to take that, right? It's a way of like injecting cool things into the fiction. And as players, when you're thinking about devil's bargains to offer to other players, you should be focused on the drives. I think the drives are a great place to sort of like play with that a little bit. But anything that you think would just make the story interesting, there aren't really any limits on the devil's bargains. They could be really wild, crazy things that nobody saw coming, right? And if it's like a little too out of the box, I'll step in as a GM and say, let's not do that. But for the most part, most anything is acceptable. What is really interesting about Trophy Gold in the context of a module is that the module assumes a certain order and progression of things, right? Like we're going to go into this room, we're going to go into this room, we're going to go to this room, and this is going to happen. But Trophy Gold can disrupt that quite a lot because the Devil's Bargains especially can introduce elements into the fiction that the module did not anticipate, right? And so it's a little bit on us as a group, and especially me as the GM, to make sure that it can work, right? I think it's exciting and fun, and it's a cool thing to do. So we're going to be getting the Ghost of Mistmoor experience, but it's going to be very much through the lens of Trophy Gold, meaning things are going to happen in the story that just aren't in the module, right? And that's okay. So that's kind of those are some sort of big ticket sort of rules things. You have a ruin score. Once you hit 6 ruin, your character is dead. So just know that. And but as long as you have some armor and as long as you're careful in how you play, it's not too much trouble. This is a game that rewards smart, careful behavior, right? So just be aware of that. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Talbot, you're starting with Ruin 4, which means you're like really close already, like at the outset of being in danger, right? So be mindful of that. And you'll have to play a little cautiously from time to time, and that's okay. So with all that said, I want to do a little scene that introduces what we're going to be doing, and then we'll take a break. The first break will be a little bit longer than normal, just because I want to make some notes. But we'll come back and we'll kind of start the dungeon proper. But let's just do a little introductory thing for now. So you all were in a village. The name of the village is not important. We're not going to dwell on the name of it. But it is a village you can return to if you have to, because things are getting a little too hot in Mistmoor Manor. It's not far. But you're in this village, and you witnessed a scene. The scene you witnessed was a young, very well-dressed man pleading with a group of armed individuals to come with him to finish the job. And this group of armed individuals said, nope, leave us out of it. You're on your own. And they left him in a huff. And so you watch this well-dressed young man pleading with multiple people in the tavern, multiple people on the street, like, please, I need your help. I need your help. You all decided to at least hear him out and see what his deal is. And so we find you all on the road. He's taking you to the location of what he wants to show you, what he needs help with. It's not far. And he's telling you the story as you go. And you're free to interact with him as we have this scene, but he's essentially telling you the story of what's going on. He introduces himself as, his name is Blaine. He is a young nobleman. These are technically his family's lands. And he is also recently the new Vicomte Mistmoor. I'll type that for you. That's what you know about him. He does not look like he's very good in a fight, based off of his physicality, and his sword on his hip seems ornamental more than useful in a fight. And you're all on horses. Everybody has their own horse. And you're just slowly going out on the road. It's dusk at this time, so the sun is getting low in the sky. And he says, well, first of all, I want to thank you all for at least coming with me and hearing my sad, tragic tale. I I would have hoped that the people in the village, them technically being my subjects, would have wanted to help me, but it turns out that no one has loyalty to their lord like they used to. And he says, so where to begin? Well, I, of course, am a loyal servant of the Duke, and I have many opportunities to be in the Duke's presence, in the Duke's household. And yes, I did make the rather unfortunate decision to woo the Duke's daughter. Some people would say it was philandering. I think that's a crude characterization of what we were doing. She's a beautiful, lovely girl, and I know that, well, I may not ever be able to give her everything she deserves, but I can give her my heart, and that has to count for something, right? Well, let's just say the Duke was none too pleased. And fortunately for me, the Duke is not the sort of man who would just have me murdered, even though he certainly could. He's a lawful man. He has found a new, much more legal way of completely destroying me, which is to say, he has demanded that I pay all of the back taxes currently attached to Mistmoor Manor. Do you know Mistmoor Manor? Familiar with it? Anyone? Yeah? No? Well,
I'm aware of it.
oh, good, good. Well, then you know, of course, that Mistmoor Manor is long abandoned and apparently has just been sitting there not having tax collected. And I am the new Viscount Mistmoor. Somehow it passed to me, and now the Duke is calling in the debt, and it will utterly destroy me. Like I said, tragic.
We live in very uncivilized times.
Yeah, well, that's what I say. Although the Duke would disagree. The Duke would say that he's just exercising his rights with the law, and I suppose he is. But really, if I hadn't been courting his daughter surreptitiously, I don't think I'd find myself in this situation. So yes, you're right. I think it's not so much a matter of being civilized or not. It's more a matter of some people just don't understand the heart. They don't understand love, and there's nothing that can be done about it. So here's the thing. Mistmoor Manor is supposed to have a vault in it somewhere. And this vault is supposed to be filled with treasure of the original Lord Mistmoor centuries ago, right? It's a bit of a complicated story, but not really. 200 years ago, the Mistmoors were a wealthy family, and they were all murdered by one of the daughters, who went crazy, insane, murdered everyone, and no one knows what happened to her. And the rumors are that there is a vault somewhere in the manor where then Lord Mistmoor kept all of his valuables and treasure. Now, I have made an attempt. Some weeks ago, went to Mistmoor Manor, and some fellows that I brought with me, we went inside. Now, I should tell you, before we went inside, I knew things were going to get a little strange because, well, I saw someone in the house looking out at me from a window. A woman, pale, wearing a white dress with dark black hair. She was staring at me from one of the bedroom windows upstairs. It sent a chill down my spine, but I was determined to find what is my rightful theoretical inheritance. And so we went in. It didn't last long, I fear. We were very aware quite quickly that the place is haunted, very, very haunted. There is a ghost in Mistmoor Manor, and something scared the horses. The horses ran away. And then my hired companions ran away when they realized what was going on. I stuck around a little longer. I actually went into that bedroom where I thought I saw that woman looking out the window from, and I saw on the wall smeared letters in what appeared to be blood that said, I shall not rest ere all my kin rest with me. Well, I am technically kin, aren't I? Anyway, I ran. I'm ashamed to say that I'm a coward. And now I can't get anyone to come back with me to go and claim my theoretical inheritance. Except you, maybe. What do you say?
It would make a excellent addition to my dissertation to have some research on the Mistmoor family. That my studies of the genealogy and family trees of the nobles is quite of interest of mine, and I do say I'm familiar with family curses. So, Viscount Mistmoor, I accept.
Oh, splendid! Good. And you, Mr. Mouse, is it? You look like the sort that would like an easy payday.
I suppose I have that look about me. I will enter the manor and see what there is to see. I'm skeptical of these tales you're telling of ghosts and goblins, but we shall see.
I wasn't aware of goblins. Are there goblins that were? Have you heard something I haven't heard? Sister, will you be aiding?
Good man.
Me?
Good man. The past is in the past. Your past, and it should be left there. That's right. Let's just hope that your future looks brighter, as hopefully does mine. And I'm willing to help myself along, and you.
Wonderful. Now, I have to tell you, I'm. If we find the treasure in the vault, I am happy to give you a very, very generous portion of whatever we find. But I am not completely certain there is said treasure or said vault, even. But I do have a little bit of money set aside, and I would be happy to. I'd be happy to give you some of that, just for at least helping me discover the truth of the matter. Out of character, you each get a 1 gold payday for going into the house and searching it with him. So there may be more, but that's what you're guaranteed. You arrive at Mistmoor Manor. It's not far from the village. And it's still, it's just about wrapping up dusk. Like, it's just about to be evening time. But when you arrive, it is, let's describe it. It's essentially it's a large 2-story house, mostly made of old wooden timbers, but there is one kind of stone tower on one corner. And there is a set of stables, and Lord Blaine says, "Oh, we can house our horses in there." And I'll put some maps when we get back to show you kind of like the layout of everything. But as you approach, the pink glow of the sun just leaves, and leaving the blue glow of evening. And a question for everyone. Do you think the house is actually haunted? If so, why? If not, why?
So I think that Mouse is skeptical about things like ghosts. But I think that I'm in this area because I've heard rumors that there is a painting of a Genos in this manor, and that there's some connection between the Mistmoors and the cult that I escaped from. So I think that Mouse is also pretty convinced that there's something dark and evil in this house, just probably not ghosts.
Talbot does not rule out the idea of a ghost entirely. He has not seen ghosts, but then again, because of his family's strange lineage, he cannot rule it out entirely. And to be honest, he's kind of hopeful because he believes a mention of ghosts or supernatural activity may add a feather to his cap in his studies for the academy.
I think Sister Reina is pretty skeptical of any form of supernatural claims. I think her order is not of the like super kind of religious supernatural kind, maybe more like a contemplative philosophical order or something. And so she's intrigued. I think in there, I think I think actually that the order, because they are kind of in the business of debunking these kind of folk tales sometimes. So I think they have like a list of things, like they have like classical things that are being told about these sorts of hauntings and so on, that are kind of almost never true. So and I think basically one or two of the things that Blaine has said until now kind of, so I think Cicerone is making like a mental list of classical kind of fake haunting story elements, something like this.
Good.
In her.
I love it. We're going to take our first break. It's going to be kind of a longer break because I want to make some notes. But so we'll take like 15 minutes and we'll come back and begin. You've arrived at Mistmoor Manor, and I have put a link in the chat that goes to a Google Drawings thing that will have the maps that we're going to be using. And the maps reveal a couple of like small secret things, but nothing that's going to like affect the story in any profound way. So I won't worry about that too much. But essentially, we're starting over in Area 19, which is the stables. And so everyone is, the two large stable doors are still actually open. And so you can guide the horses into the stables. And there are stalls to the south there a bit. I'll describe the rest of it to you. The south end of this long dirt floored room is divided into stalls. An old carriage sits in the middle of the north end, gathering dust. And there's a ladder that leads up to the loft above the stalls. And young Vicomte Mistmoor is, he like agrees to help put the horses away. He's like, here, let me help you. I should be, I'm happy to be of some use. And he's kind of taking your horses and putting them in the stalls and gathering up some little bits of hay that are still there and for them and things like that. Let's just start with Talbot. You got the stalls, you got the loft, you got this carriage in the middle of the north end. There's also some doors, a door that goes into the interior courtyard and a set of doors that goes to another room there. What do you do?
I inquire with the Viscount Mistmoor. I ask him about the study. Is there any place that you know of in the house that we can take a look at the family records?
He says, well, I didn't get a chance to look around too much the last time I was here because of certain events that transpired. But I did find that most of the rooms I checked, none of the doors were locked. I was able to move around quite freely. And if this manor is like the way these places were built back then, I would venture to say that it's going to be, yes, probably just somewhere off of the main entry hall, I imagine, but I couldn't say for sure.
Good.
What are you
thank
doing, Sister Reyna?
I think she's a bit on edge, kind of like, hand on the sword on her side and really not trusting this whole arrangement. Maybe kind of looking around the corner, kind of listening, kind of getting closer to that door in the north, kind of listening a bit if there's anything to be heard.
Yeah, you can do a hunt roll if you want. So we're going to be using the die roller in the Discord, if that's okay. So if you go to the trophy Discord, there is a section that says dice, and if you just do, well, we'll talk about your hunt roll in a moment, but it'll be /hunt 1 or 2 depending. If you're just listening at the door, I'm not sure if that's more than one die, but if you have a piece of equipment or something,
applies.
or a skill, okay. Go ahead and roll one hunt roll die.
Oops. Okay, that starts well. It's a 1.
Great start. We'll come back to that. Mouse, what are you doing?
I think Mouse is similar to Sister Reyna, a little bit cautious about this place. So I think he wants to find the ladder up to the loft and just kind of, before we leave this area, make sure that there's nothing in here.
Yeah, that's a great segue into the Sister Reyna's 1 on the hunt roll. So as you go for the ladder, Blaine says, oh my, oh, look out. And descending from the loft area and from the ceilings of the stable are a number of large dog-sized spiders. They are dropping down into the stable area. There's one clambering like down the ladder, swiping at you with its forelimbs. Mouse and Sister Reyna, you have one that's like, probably you may have inadvertently like alerted them to their presence, but you have one that's like kind of like jumping down at you. Loads of like spiders. They're large. They are ready to go. And Lord Blaine is going for his sword and just kind of swinging wildly. You have a bit of a tricky, sticky situation here. It's going to be a combat. The combat is fairly straightforward. It's just a 9, but someone has to be principally protecting Lord Mistmoor, Viscount Mistmoor, and so whoever's doing that has to take an extra weak point.
I think Rena is doing that because she was kind of looking out for danger, and it kind of makes sense. Like as soon as she sees this, she draws the sword and kind of moves close to the count.
Yeah.
Good man, stand beside me.
And he says, oh, yes. And, and he does. So everybody say how you're vulnerable and then roll your weak point. And that's /weak on the die roller.
So I roll twice.
And you're going to roll twice, yes.
Okay.
No one roll a 5. No one roll a 5. Please.
5 looks bad. Okay, so everybody has to say how they're vulnerable. So go ahead and start, Sister Rena.
So I think, I mean, the one is, of course, because paying attention to where Blaine, the con Blaine, is really the kind of takes my attention away. I think the other thing is that there's just too many.
Yeah. Talbot, how are
I'm
you
right
vulnerable?
in it.
Oh, and what are so you have a 6 and a 5, right?
6 and 5, yes.
Oof, woof. Talbot, how are you vulnerable?
Yeah, I rolled a 5, and I'm assuming Talbot's vulnerability is he was completely oblivious when the spiders revealed. He was just nattering something on about the how this barn is a magnificent example of Ruritanian farming architecture. So he's just in his own little world when the spiders jump.
Yeah, fair enough. And Mouse, how are you vulnerable?
So I think the kind of surprise of the spiders coming down, like I was already kind of on the ladder. So I like jumped back into a roll, drawing my my knife as I did. And when I came up, I realized I'm kind of in the middle of where all of the spiders have come down. So I'm just surrounded.
And you all have weak point 5. So this is going to be a disaster of a combat roll. We'll see.
Yeah, do you have preparations in case we all just die here in the first
well, we'll hope you
combat?
don't. We'll hope you don't. So let's see. You've got combat 3. So go ahead and somebody roll combat 3. Mark, go ahead and roll it. /combat 3. So it's a 5 and a 2 and a 2. That's not enough. And 5 came up. So that's all bad. We're learning a lot of lessons about Terrific Gold right now at this very first encounter. So here's the deal. Everybody has to either take the hit or mark armor, but in any case, it's just one hit, and you have to just give me a bit of description of how you're keeping it together, and what the combat looks like. You're not able to clear the spiders, but you're holding them off, or they're biting you, or something's happening. But just start it off, Sister Rena. What does this look like?
I think they close in too quickly, and like I said, there are just too many. So I think Sister is just taking her shield, but instead of protecting herself, she's actually protecting Blaine. And that's when one of them just bites her in the arm that is holding the shield over Blaine.
Very good. Keep it going, Talbot.
Okay, so Talbot's monologue is interrupted as spiders come and they just tear right into his coat. They just pair of fangs just sinks into his coat and rips it, loses all its protective value, and he's freaking out. And as he's freaking out, people can notice that like his silver hair seems to be growing a little longer, like his sideburns seem to be getting thicker, and there seems to be some hair appearing on his on the backs of his palms, and his nails are getting longer. He's got like a blue glow in his eyes, so he's like just in pure panic mode.
Mouse.
So I think Mouse is being surrounded, kind of like constantly turning and like keeping an eye on all of the spiders and trying to like dodge out of the way as different spiders on different sides lunge forward. And he's doing all right at first, but there's just so many spiders around him that eventually, like, as he's fending off the one in front of him, one of the ones behind him gets in and gets a bite in.
Very good. Okay, next combat round. It's 4 dark. or for combat. You can all run if you think you need to run, or you can see it through to the end. Also, individuals can run too, but they give their weak point away to somebody. So, Sister or Adrian, why don't you go ahead and roll combat 4? If anybody's running, though, tell me now.
I think Sister Rena is kind of now has kind of secured Blaine, and now let's see if we can get these spiders.
That's a better
We
result.
can.
So 6 and 3, 3 and 1. So 6 and 3 is what we're looking for. That's a 9. That's enough to defeat them. And only Sister Rena takes the hit because of the 6. Let's start with Mouse. Mouse. Okay, you're starting to turn the tide on these spiders. What does it look like?
So I think that it's like the one in front of me, I managed to get my knife into it, and that emboldens Mouse a little bit. And so I start kind of like I'm able to get out of the ring of them and get them to a point where they're all coming from the front, and I can start kind of eliminating them.
Yeah, Talbot, keep it going.
Okay, would it be appropriate for me to use a ritual at this time?
You could use it in the fiction, yeah, even though it's not like mechanically like.
Oh, okay. I basically from his Talbot's reaction, he lets out like the most horrible. He uses wail to let out the most horrible, ear-piercing like roar / shriek, like pure animal panic, and that's enough to just send the spiders around him just skittering because they think it's a bigger predator.
Nice. Sister Rena, wrap up the combat.
So I think this time Rena, with the disoriented spiders because of the wailing, I think she's crouching behind this large wooden shield next to Blaine, and then with the sword like kind of gets rid of the disoriented spiders. So she uses the shield.
Good. You get to harvest spider parts for treasure, so that's a good thing. Adrian, go ahead and roll gold 9. So you find you get 1 gold worth of treasure from the spider parts. You can all decide what that is in a moment, but just to keep the scene going. Young Lord Blaine says, "Oh, Sister Rena, your arm." And he's kind of sees your injury, right? And he says, "Here, I can help you with that. I'm not completely useless. I did actually train as a hospitaler, if you can imagine." And he says, "It's the sort of thing that I was good at in war." And he like has like a little kit, and he's like binding up your arm and like applying an unguent to it. And he says,
Rena's kind of hesitant because she does that stuff herself, right? So she's really like, does he really know what he's doing? But it seems all right. So she doesn't like to be touched, but she'll allow it.
Talbot makes a remark and says, "Was that the sort of care the Duke's daughter appreciated?"
He's like, ha ha ha. He's like, let's maybe not talk about the Duke's daughter right now. He says, "I have to ask you, Sister Rena, you really availed yourself well against these creatures. Do you perhaps like have martial training yourself? Is that what they teach in the convent these days?"
I picked up a few things with the sword. Yes, it's dangerous out there, good man. You've seen it. Danger can come from anywhere. It looms everywhere around these parts.
He's like, "Oh yes, I've been told." He says, "There we are. That should do you up good." And he actually is pretty skilled with this. It's actually something he's not bad at. You can lower your ruin by 1. So you got to defend him. He's at least helpful in that way. What are we, Talbot? Mouse? Mouse, what are we taking from the spiders that's of value here?
Kind of picturing, because we have both a leech and an antiquarian in the party, I imagine it is actually like spider parts, so like maybe some like venom that could be used either as a poison or to craft an anti-venom, something along those lines.
I like that. Who's going to keep that? The spider venom.
I can take it if no one else wants it.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Note barn spider venom worth 1 gold. And anything else you can think of to do with it, I suppose. Well, let's talk about set goals. So we have a set goal in this sort of like exterior courtyard grounds part of the manor. And that set goal is, I'm gonna find it. That set goal is to find a hidden treasure stash. You can work on that whenever you wish. You can return to it whenever you wish. Even if you go to other parts of the house, you can always come back to that. It's no big deal. And there's also a ground level, which is the actual house proper, that has its own set goal, but you have to go there to find out what that is. And this scenario is special because it also has temporal set goals that are associated with the time of night. And so over the course of this adventure, we're going to be playing through 3 time periods: evening, the middle of the night, and the wee hours of the morning. So it's one big long night. And the evening set goal is, I'm not going to explain what it means, it's up to you to learn it at some point. The evening set goal is to learn the story of Regine and the Raven. Once it moves from evening to middle of the night, you can no longer learn this bit. It's no longer available to you. I'll always tell you when it's getting ready to be close to switching times. So you have several different ways to go here. There is a room just to the north of the stable that's attached to the stable. We also you can kind of enter the courtyard from a door in the stable, or you can go back around to the front of the manor, which is the north side. There's a sort of front entrance to the manor there as well. So yeah, Talbot, what are you doing right now?
I turn to the others. Now, back to my normal appearance, and taking off my extremely damaged coat, I say, I'm sorry, friends. I don't know what came over me in that moment. But that awful insects. Well, technically they are arachnids, but perhaps we should leave. As much as I enjoy the smell of hay and horse dung, perhaps we should move to more comfortable environs and look at the interior of the mansion. What do you say?
We did not come here to stay in the stable among these creatures. I agree.
I was going to search the loft, but I'm not thrilled about the idea of perhaps finding more of those spiders. So yes, I think I would rather take my chances with the ghosts and goblins than the spiders.
Goblins?
Blaine
Everyone
says,
knows there's
he
no
keeps
such
mentioning
thing.
goblins. I don't remember goblins being in the story. So where are we going then? Which way are you headed, Talbot?
Oh, so I would like to head for the front entrance of the manor. So I guess if you go out of the stables, it will take you.
Circle
is that
around to the
24?
north.
Yeah, to the north.
Oh no! If you're you want to go to 24 that's actually the back entrance. Yeah, the courtyard this is all in the rear of the house. The front of the house is actually area 1. That's the front entrance.
Oh, I mean, the back entrance actually sounds good. It's
okay, good.
That least likely to attract attention. Fingers crossed.
So you can kind of come out that little door that's on the east side of the stable and just go straight into this sort of little courtyard area. And let me get my numbers. Love keyed area dungeons. So this sort of like little outdoor area has a few things of note. There's some old, poorly kept trees with the leaves missing kind of all around. And there's a little stone path that connects things. In the center of it, there is a decorative marble fountain, but it's no longer functioning. And we have several little small structures as well in the courtyard. So you have like 3 little kind of small structures sort of more to the west side or east side rather. And one of which is pretty obviously a mausoleum, like a family mausoleum. And then you have the back porch area that kind of goes into the house, right? So Talbot, it sounded like you were heading there, unless you want to go somewhere else.
Well, now that you've mentioned the mausoleum, I'm extremely intrigued. Some very good historical data can be gathered from such places. Mouse, Sister Reyna, what do you say we investigate the mausoleum a little more?
If the legends are true, I suppose the mausoleum is probably best visited at a time like now as opposed to the middle of the night.
Sure.
At the very least, we'll get a marvelous example of Third Dynasty architecture. That the frieze, the pediments, it's
that is just what I was hoping for when I came to this place.
Absolutely, the Mistmoor use of the golden ratio, gorgeous.
Very good. So it sounds like Mouse and Talbot are going to the mausoleum then? Do I understand that correctly? Good. And Sister Reyna, where are you headed?
I think I'm following.
Very good. Let's talk about the mausoleum. So the mausoleum is area 20. There are some steps kind of going up to the little entrance to the tomb. The architecture of this stone tomb is disturbingly Gothic. The outside is ornately carved and decorated with gargoyles. The door is made of iron, but it's ajar. It doesn't appear to be locked or closed. Talbot, what do you do?
Very carefully, I'm going to open the door such that the door is in front of me as as I'm opening it as a barrier between whatever might be inside. I turn to Mouse and Rita and say, "Brace yourself, friends," and do my best to open the door.
Yeah, opening the door is no trouble at all. Does everybody go inside?
Yeah, I think Mouse will say, I am accustomed to places like this. Perhaps I should take the lead.
Mouse, are you a student of Third Dynasty architecture as well? I wish I had known. We've had so many interesting conversations.
Yes, Third Dynasty architecture. That is one of my many passions.
Marvelous.
Very good, very good. Great. So the door opens outward, and you can go inside. And inside, we'll talk about the inside in a moment. I do need to know, does somebody have a torch or something they can use to see?
I do have torches.
All right, let me have a torch and get a torch lit. As you're getting the torch lit, and everyone's kind of inside this little mausoleum space to kind of see what they can find, you hear something slam behind you. Slam. And then a chunk chunk. Someone has closed the mausoleum door behind you and dropped what appears to be or what seems to be a bar, barring you in. You are presently trapped inside the mausoleum until you can figure out a way out.
Is Blaine with us?
Blaine's with you. Yeah, he's in there too. He's like, oh, great. This is exactly what I needed.
Well, this was unexpected.
Do you think it's the ghost that did it?
Yes, I'm sure it's a ghost and not some sort of protective trap or ward that was built in ages past.
It could be a local prankster having a jape watching us from another position.
Oh, I do love a good jape when I'm in the middle of a tomb. So let's talk about this tomb. Inside, well, whoever lit the torch can do a hunt roll using the torch as a justification for the second die. So, Mouse, go ahead and give me a 2-die hunt roll.
Oh, we are off to just a rousing good start on our rolls.
Very bad start. On a 2, you encounter something terrible. As you're looking around, you see on the ground, it's quite bare in here. There's a set of stairs going down, presumably to where like the actual crypts are. But all around the floor, you can see what appears to be bones, broken and scattered. But here's the really terrible thing. On the door that is now locked behind you, you see scratches as if someone was trying to claw their way out. There are some stairs going down. Sister Reyna, what do you do? If you need a moment, we can wait. Talbot, what do you do?
Oh, first I remark upon, an example of premature inhumation. I have heard accounts of such things, but never did I see actual evidence. Brilliant, brilliant. So, and I look at the steps and the bones, and I say, before we walk into this entrance, let's test. I'm going to take one of the bones and I'm going to toss it down the steps and see if there is anything that grabs for it or any kind of reaction whatsoever.
This is very good. I like this as a hunt roll, and taking a look at your skills, your skill of spontaneity maybe would be helpful here, but I think just the idea of like how you did it with the bone, I think is pretty good. Go ahead and roll 2, hunt roll 2. Hey, there you go. So you get a token. Congratulations. You can mark tokens on there's a spot in your sheet for that. And you drop the bone down and you can listen. You can hear it plinking all the way down to the bottom. But you don't learn anything else, sadly, from that. But you do have a token, so that's good. Sister Reyna, what are you doing?
I think Sister Reyna is stepping up to the door and having a look, kind of looking at whatever scratched there. I have the forensic skill, so I think that's kind of like, she might know something about these kind of things.
Yeah, I like it. Go ahead and roll 200 dice.
Let's see. It's a 5.
Nice. Take your token, but you encounter something terrible. This person was clearly, whoever it is, was pretty clearly imprisoned here. The scratches indicate that this was a long, long time ago, probably dating back to the time of the Mistmoor story 2 centuries ago. And whoever was, but it does look like it wasn't like immediate. They weren't trying to escape from something right now. They were just trying to escape, period. And
Rena says, I think looking at this, it seems it is ancient. So I don't think we are in immediate danger. But Mr. Blaine, I would like to get out of here again. Do tell us, is there anything that you can tell us about this place?
I don't know much more than you, I'm afraid, Sister Reyna. I only barely was able to search the house last time, and I have heard all the same stories you've probably heard. insane Mistmoor daughter murders everyone and disappears. I don't even remember any stories about mausoleums being part of the tale. And he's looking down the stairs. I mean, if we don't think we can break this door open, we're going to have to go that way, aren't we?
Talbot interjects. I would like to actually look around before we take the stairs and see if there's any any names of indicated on tombs. I'm curious if maybe we can find the name of this daughter or just family names in general.
Yeah, you'll have to go downstairs for that. The interior, this top part is pretty well cleared out. It's just like a entryway essentially to the actual like tomb. So
cool. All right, then in that case, I say onward and downward.
Let us go downward. I have to go find that really quickly.
I think Mouse will kind of like, again, like put a hand up and very kind of stealthily move down the stairs before signaling for everyone else to come down.
That's good. Do a hunt roll.
Can I use my stealth skill to get
Sure.
a second die?
I'll take it, yeah.
It's getting slightly better. It's a 5.
Take your token. And you also encounter something terrible. We'll talk about that in a moment. As you're going downstairs, there's nothing, the stairs themselves are safe. There's nothing, no traps or no dangers of any sort like that. And you're kind of going forward, being very careful. The thing that's terrible that you encounter is you see that there are 3 sarcophagi down in the crypt. All have been torn open, and the remains, the skeletal remains, have been just carelessly scattered all over the room. Some other things as you get down to this little crypt area, which the crypt area is about, we'll say it's about like, it's like 15 feet by, say, 30 feet. It's not a huge area, more kind of a rectangular, like hall sort of thing. The walls are actually covered with frescoes of pastoral fields, but defaced by those marks, those scratches. But this is what you're interested in, right, Talbot? So Talbot, what do you do once you get down there?
Well, I go down. I continue what I tried to do at the room up top, and I try to look for any sort of names or information on the sarcophagi.
Yeah, that's great. You can take a hunt roll. I assume you have a skill that's good at this, like myths maybe or artifacts. Go for it.
Yes, I should just remind myself my skill. Yeah, I have artifacts and myths.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Cool. Hunt 2.
What was the result?
It was 5.
5. Awesome. Oh no, what's the highest die of the 2?
Oh, the highest die is 3.
3. So you encounter something terrible and you get no token. We'll come back to that in a moment. Sister Rana, what are you doing?
I think she's kind of interested in what is going on here, what is happening here. So I think examining the sarcophagus.
Yeah, so you have 3 sarcophagi. 2 are sort of like back against the far wall, and 1 is kind of more in the middle. And Talbot, I just imagine, was doing
All of them are broken open?
They've all been busted open, yeah.
I think the one in the middle.
You want to specifically look for that one? Search
Yeah.
that one. Search it on the inside, or like, are you looking at runes like Talbot is?
No, I
Markings.
think I want to find something out about what force did break it open.
Yeah, that's
Broke it
good.
open, yeah.
Do a hunt roll. If you have a piece of equipment or skill that would be helpful, you get that second.
Maybe
die.
again forensics. I'm not.
I'll take it. Go for it.
Yeah. 3.
And Mouse, what are you doing right now?
I think Mouse is. I don't think anything down here is terribly interesting to him. So I think he's kind of just more kind of walking around the room and trying to see if he can find like a door, maybe a hidden door out or some way to get out of this place.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Take a hunt roll.
Could I make an argument for, I think, either deception or stealth? Like knowing about those things might help.
I would say deception if you're looking for something hidden.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
That is a 5.
Take your token. I'm going to wrap up everyone's something terrible together here. So this is what your collective searching reveals. There's a stream underneath the crypt, an underground stream. You can hear it eventually. And it's particularly loud beneath the sarcophagus that Sister Rena is investigating. The 3 sarcophagi, Talbot, this is probably most interesting to you. I'm going to give you a fairly limited amount of information because of your role, but essentially, these sarcophagi would have been like the previous lords or ladies Mistmoor, right? So that's who would be buried down here. Children and untitled relatives and heirs would not be buried down here, right? And you'll eventually realize that the sound of the stream is very loud underneath this middle sarcophagus, and you can wrench the sarcophagus aside. And this is the terrible thing. There's a trap door that looks down directly beneath the crypt, and you can see the stream. But you can see the skeleton of a person trying to crawl in the tight passage that the stream is running through, and they apparently got stuck and died there. You can see their rotted clothes and bones. They are no longer wedged there because they're now bones, but presumably when they were flesh, they tried to navigate this tight passage that the stream comes through, and they got stuck and died. But I will tell you that if you have the right equipment, you can navigate the passage.
I think Mouse looks a little bit despondent for a moment, realizing that because he is small enough that he's often mistaken for a child, this is probably going to fall on him.
I like the idea of Mouse being small enough to navigate it without any special equipment or anything. It would still be a risk roll, but you can do it if you want, Mouse. Or you all can try to bust open the door to the mausoleum and go out the way you came. Those are all options. But let's take a 5-minute break and we'll come back to it. While you're all pondering what to do, the young nobleman Blaine will say, "So how much do you all know about these lands?"
Talbot launches into a large speech about the artistic and historical context in the land in a way that reveals that he really knows nothing. He spent his whole life reading and studying books.
He says, "Well, That's very interesting. I don't know much about academic inquiries related to the Mistmoor lands, but when I was a kid, I used to love to hear the stories of the Black Dragon. They say a terrible black dragon used to lay claim over these lands, and apparently it was one of my ancestors who slew the creature. If you can imagine that.
Reno says, like, I have no fear of black dragons.
Congratulations on that. He says, well, I've never seen a dragon, so I wouldn't know for sure, but yes. Well, so what are we going to do?
I believe that door is too heavy for us to break through.
Mouse, I have a jar of glowworms. Maybe it's of more use than a torch down there. If you shake it.
That would
True.
be useful.
No,
I can.
If you want to have a go at it, you can do it. I mean,
Yeah, I think at this point, like looking at us as a group, I don't foresee, even with Sister Reyna appearing to have perhaps had a more martial past than they're letting on. I don't think that door is coming down easily.
let's have a risk roll. The goal is to safely navigate the underground stream. Everyone now, as player, including myself, gets to say, everybody but Blaine, gets to say what could go wrong for Mouse here. How could this go really poorly? Who has any thoughts?
I'm thinking maybe there could be some kind of poisonous aquatic reptile in the stream underneath the sarcophagus.
I'm thinking you could just get stuck like that poor person however many years ago.
I think it could lead somewhere which is not out of here.
Let's talk about your dice. So you get, I have to look up the rules. I actually don't remember how to play. I can't remember how the dice go. Do we have a thing on here with how the dice work? Reference sheet, here we go. Risk roll. Okay, take one light die if your background, occupation, skills, or equipment can assist you. I think the glowworms is perfect. You'll take another light die for accepting a devil's bargain from another player or myself. These are complications that will occur whether you succeed or not. I'll keep mine fairly uninteresting but straightforward, which is no matter what, you lose the jar of glowworms. If anyone has anything more interesting than that, by all means.
No, not me. That sounds good to me.
Adrian, any thoughts?
I think whatever, no matter what, you'll meet or find out about whatever left these scratch marks on the door.
Interesting. You got two choices there.
Oh, as much as I hate to do it, I think I like the idea of finding out more about what left these scratches.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Okay, good. So you have two light, and I'm not going to make you roll a dark yet. I think if the situation gets hairier, we might add a dark die in. But for now, just do two light because you're small.
Okay.
If you were bigger, I'd make a dark die, but because you're small, we'll go with just two light.
I think two This might be an interesting time for this as I like sidle by this skeleton that's in the tunnels. I want to spend a token to gain a treasure.
Yeah. As you go by this skeleton, the skeleton is gripping something. The skeleton is gripping what appears to be a like a silver candlestick. Maybe they had a lit candle that they were maybe trying to like navigate with, but the silver candlestick itself is worth 1 gold.
Excellent. I will pocket that as I make this risk roll.
Go for it.
So / risk 2, correct?
Risk 2. Yep. So you got a 4, which means that is a success, but there could be a complication on the roll. If you want to avoid the complication, you can add a dark die to roll again. I'll tell you what the complication is first. Complication is just going to be that I'm going to give you a condition of, I'm going to give you a condition, it's not a medical diagnosis, but we'll just say claustrophobia for now. I think just being down in this tight little space is kind of giving you the creeps.
I think I will keep the 4 then. I think that's kind of an interesting thing to play out.
Go ahead and type that in your condition space. And I will also tell you that now you are in the subterranean portion of Mistmoor Manor, which has its own set goal. The set goal for the subterranean portion is learn how to escape the vault. The navigating goes fine, though. We'll come back to that. Talbot and Sister Rainer, what are you doing while you're just kind of waiting on Mouse to report back?
So the family, you said that all the Mistmoor family, that their sarcophagi were here. And so I'm
just
assuming
the heads of the household.
Just the heads of the household. Okay. Because I was trying to track down, maybe we could find the tomb of the daughter, but if it's heads of the household, I'm probably not going to find her there.
Yeah, importantly, the tombs of the daughter. The tomb of the daughter is not there. So
got it. Connected. Can I just do like a general hunt roll, like a search for treasure?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We're kind of running out of spaces to look, to be honest. So maybe instead, I think it might just be a chance to explore your characters a bit. I think that maybe Lord Blaine would say, so Talbot, if you don't mind my asking, what drives you to this sort of work?
Well, history, my good man, history. I am a esteemed scholar waiting for my much deserved tenure at the Royal Academy, and such as my grandmother and mother illustriously acquired their doctorate, I wish to do the same. So this is, in essence, field research with the help of my friends Mouse and the good sister Raina, who, knowing her background, is quite informed, particularly with church architecture. I am preparing my dissertation on the histories of royal families and what they mean for the benefit of our kingdom. It is the highest of the academic pursuits, the aesthetics of royalty, if I do say so myself.
Blaine looks around and says, at the empty crypt with bones all over the place and people scratching on the walls, and says, yes, the aesthetics of royalty are quite profound here. And Sister Rada, what about you? What drew you from the convent?
I think Sister Rena is sitting on the sarcophagus with kind of the back to the other two, and has been kind of shaking her head when Talbot was talking. I think this might not be the first time that they are out on some adventure together. And I think she kind of enjoys Talbot's long speeches and diatribes because it means she doesn't have to talk that much. And she's always kind of like shaking her head, at this the kind of grandiosity of the speech. She turns around and she says like, frankly, I need the money.
He says, oh, well, theoretically, there's a lot of money here to be found.
That's what you said, good man. I hope it's true.
You and me both. You and me both. Meanwhile, back in the tunnel, you don't get very far, Mouse, when you realize that this person who died was clutching something else that they threw or dropped ahead in the tunnel when they realized they weren't going to be able to escape. You pick it up and you can read it by the light of the glowworms. And it says, if you find this, I was a maid in service to the Mistmoor family. That horrible monster Regine trapped me here. She said the raven told her to do it.
Well, that's not unsettling at all.
You can continue climbing now. I have put the subterranean portion of the manor on the drawings. If you all want to click over onto back to the Google drawings to take a look at that. Grab that link for you again too. And you are currently in the tunnel from Area 43, crawling through on your way to Area 42. And it's a bit of a hike, it's a bit of a crawl, but you do eventually reach the other end of it. Area 42 is some sort of cold storage. The small stream is running through the chamber from north to south, collecting in a pool near the north end. It enters and exits via this naturally carved passage about 2 and 3 feet wide high. The water itself is quite cold and drinkable, and you can see what appear to be the sort of like dried up, withered leftovers of like foodstuffs that might have been stored down here with the water keeping them cold, right? What do you do, Mouse?
I think, as much as Mouse kind of is intrigued by this and wants to explore, I think with the rest of my friends being trapped in the mausoleum, I am trying my hardest to just find a way back outside.
But continuing forward, though.
Yes.
Yeah. You go up some stairs from this little cold storage area up to another larger area. This is a room filled with casks and wine racks, though only a few bottles remain, and many of them are broken. This is probably some kind of wine cellar. And then you have some stairs that are going up, and then you have a door that comes out of this room as well. What do you do?
I will take the stairs up. I'm working under the assumption that this is probably the basement of the manor, so those stairs probably lead to the first floor.
They do indeed. You can take the stairs up, and you realize pretty quickly that you're actually in the house now. The stairs themselves go to, pull it up real fast. The kitchen. A room cluttered with typical grimy cooking paraphernalia and furnished with counters and cupboards, a small table, 2 chairs, that kind of thing. So yes, that is the way out into the house.
All right, I will, I'm skeptical, but not a full-fledged unbeliever in darkness. So I'm gonna kind of stealthily make my way through the kitchen and try to find a way back outside.
Yeah, I mean, there's a door that goes directly back out to the courtyard, and you can see the mausoleum across the way. So, because the kitchen's area 13, so you can just come pop right back out and see the mausoleum. Are you gonna go pop the door open, I assume?
Perfect. Yeah, I will run out, and as I'm opening it, I do kind of want to like look at it and see if I can figure out what happened. Like, was it a trap? Was
I
it?
will tell you that being in the kitchen reveals the set goal of the ground floor of the house. Which is learn the location of the vault. But yeah, you can go cross the yard, go back to the thing. There is in fact a bar over the door. You can just raise the bar and everyone is free. Let's put you all back together then.
Yeah, I will. I'll again. I want to look at it and see. Like, do I think maybe it's possible that this was like a trap or like security precaution, or does it look like
somebody would have to run up and slam the bar down?
Okay. So I'll open it, and I am at this point not going back inside. It was a little too tight for comfort. But I will open the door and yell down to everyone.
Blaine says, "We're rescued," and he goes up the stairs to leave the mausoleum. Everybody else leaving, I assume.
Mouse, magnificent work. You've certainly got the cleverness of your namesake.
Thank you.
What did you see while you were down there?
I found their food storage. I found their wine cellar. It was an impressive wine cellar, to be sure, although most of the wine is sadly gone. And I found the kitchen. So not anything terribly exciting, but
It seems as if you found the servants' quarters. I agree. I correct. We should focus our attentions on the upper levels of the lords of the manor.
Sister Rena, I think, kind of looks at you quietly until I think you hand back the jar.
yeah, I will.
Speaking of the jar, or no, you didn't take that. You didn't take that thing, did you?
Yeah, I took the discover what.
We still need to hear. Yeah, what about scratches? And
yeah, well, that's what the little plaque was. It was
plaque,
the maid.
Yeah.
The maid wrote on a piece of wood, like, "I was trapped here by Regine." The Raven told her to do it. So,
okay.
Yeah. Well, Blaine says, "Shall we go inside?"
Yes, I'm quite excited by this opportunity.
I think Mouse is. I mean, the house is big enough that I don't think it would like trigger claustrophobia fully. But I think after having crawled through those tunnels, he is a little reticent to leave the open air of the courtyard.
Blaine marches up towards what would be the rear entrance up the porch, area 24, to go in through that door there. He says, "Well, I think this goes into the Great Hall, if I recall correctly, when I was here last." And he goes and he opens those two doors, and he steps inside the Great Hall, which is area 10 on the map. What's everyone else doing?
Talbot is immediately going into the hall and especially looking at the walls and the decor and looking for any great example of art objects that might be there to tell the history of the family.
I like it. You can go and do a hunt roll. 2 dice. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I have a trophy token and a 3 on the dice.
Oh, the 6 is the important thing. It's always we're always looking for the highest result.
Yeah, I have a 6.
Yeah, great. Cool. So you get your token, and let's just describe the area a little bit. This large, sparsely furnished chamber has a high ceiling and a balcony running around the inner walls, about 15 feet up. You see footprints, actually, leading back and forth between the wide northeast corridor and the stairs along the south wall. So there's some stairs right as you come in, and you see some footsteps coming like pretty clearly in the dust from the sort of corridor up the north, up over to these stairs. Most interesting to you probably is a large portrait of the first Viscount of Mistmoor hanging over the fireplace, which is immediately to the left as you walk in. What is Sister Reyna doing right now?
I think when she sees the fireplace, she walks towards it to warm up. But is it lit?
No, it's not lit.
No, there's no fire.
No.
Yeah. I think she examines it anyway. Has it been lit in the last couple of days or so, or is there any sign?
You can take the 2 dice hunt roll because you can look through some ashes and things like that. Yeah.
4.
Yes, it has been lit. The ashes are fresh enough to indicate it has been lit at least within the past couple of days. Where are you at?
Someone
right now,
has
Mouse?
been here.
Oh yeah, okay.
She says, like, someone has been here, and last week or so, the ash is fresh.
Blaine says, well, I assure you it wasn't me. We didn't have time to light a fire.
Well, yes, I gathered as much, but someone closed the door behind us in the mausoleum, and someone lit a fire to get warm or cook some food or something. I don't think ghosts would do that.
Mouse, are you in the Great Hall as well?
Yeah, I think slightly reluctantly after everyone else went in, Mouse would go in. And I think he's kind of being here to like try and see if he can find a painting that Agino did. I think he is like trying to stealthily look at the art around because he doesn't want Talbot to see him looking at the art and assume that he is interested in it in like a historical sense.
We'll come back to that in a moment. I mean, the only painting in the Great Hall is the one above the fireplace of the original Lord Mistmoor. Before you have a chance to really give it a look, though, Blaine will point out to everyone, look. And what you see looking down from the balcony, you see a woman with a white dress and raven black hair and pale skin, looking down at you all from the balcony, kind of the northern part. Blaine says, "That's her. That's the ghost." What do you all do?
I look to her and say, "Hello, madam. Won't you talk to us, please?"
The woman in the white dress makes no response, but just floats backwards into the darkness. Not steps, like just moving back out of sight.
Hmm.
I think Sister Rena was about to speak, and now she, like for the first time, she considers the possibility that there might be some ghostly presence or something here, and she kind of puts her hand to the side where she has like a metal bottle in her belt, or on her belt, and then she says, "No, this was peculiar. The ghost, you say?"
He says, well, that's certainly the woman that I saw staring at me from the bedroom window when I was here last.
Well, the way she was moving, it doesn't look like she's the one that put a fire into the fireplace here. This is all, well, we should be careful.
Are we all just going to dismiss the potential that this large mansion that has sat empty for 200 years has acquired a squatter?
You're right.
I don't reject that at all.
Well, so Talbot, what are you going to do?
Well, whether or not she is a ghost or a human being, I think it's worth pursuing her objectives anyway. So let's give chase.
The stairs are right there by the fireplace, so you can go up the balcony, no problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to follow after her.
Going up the stairs to the second floor of the house reveals the set goal for the upper floor, which is learn how to enter the vault. If you go up to where she was, let me put the map. I think that'll be easier. This is the upper floor map. And essentially, area 38 is kind of where she was, that sort of upper kind of like landing area on the balcony. And you'll be delighted to hear, two of you will be delighted to hear that this is a portrait gallery. The walls of this area are, of the balcony area, are lined with portraits of Mistmoor family members. Importantly, nearly all of them are all stained with ancient spatters of blood. And there's some other things to learn here as well. But in the area where you saw the woman looking down at you, there's a portrait of that woman, seemingly white dress, raven black hair. And it's flanked by two other portraits which have been shredded with a blade beyond recognition. Sister Rena, what are you doing right now?
I think she walks up to these portraits and looks at the shredded ones. How recently might they have been shredded?
Do a hunt roll. You can take your forensics as well.
A 6.
Nice. I don't know if you're able to determine when the shredding happened, but you will learn something very interesting. Each of the paintings has a nameplate on the frame. The one of the woman in white with black hair is Regine. The other two have different names, Rebecca and Reverie.
The two shredded ones.
What are you doing, Mouse? Also take your token, Sister Raina.
I think Mouse now is particularly interested, just kind of moving around this gallery looking for any portraits other than these people that might be of interest to him. People
Because
that
of
he might
Regina.
know. Yeah. I kind of assume that the painting that Agino did, being probably somewhat magical, is not hanging here, but like there still might be some kind of clue here.
Yeah, take a hunt roll.
That's a 6.
Nice, take your token. You're looking around at the paintings, and I don't know if you find any connection to Agino, but a couple of these paintings are still in pretty good shape, and if you find a way to transport them, they're all quite big. If you find a way to transport them, they're probably worth, probably collectively worth 3 gold, which is a lot of money in this game. You have to find a way to like kind of haul them off, but yeah.
I think Mouse takes note of that, but since we are traveling with the current owner of this house, maybe doesn't say out loud this thought that like maybe we should steal all these paintings.
Well, he actually says, I bet you we could get some money for these paintings. So, some of them are still in pretty good shape.
Sister Rina says, I'm not sure I would like to burden myself with these big paintings, but and I think she tries to take off the painting of Regine from the wall. I'm gonna spend a token also to find something maybe behind it, and then she's going to show it to the to Blaine, say like, Regine, right? Can you tell us more about her?
What are you doing right now, Talbot? That's going on.
I am also curious about Regine, but mainly I want to look at that painting of her. I want to see one, if the age, if there's a placard of like Regine's age that indicated that she died, or if she might be still living or old enough to be like squatting at the house. And 2, is there a picture of a raven there?
I like where you're both going with this. Actually, this is quite good. I'll give you the hunt roll, Talbot. Go ahead.
Okay, hunt 1.
Unless you have a piece of equipment or a relevant skill. Obfuscation, maybe.
Yes, I have obfuscation.
Yeah, go for that.
Okay. I have 2 5s.
Nice. Take your token. So you're looking at the painting Sister Raina removed from the wall. Sister Raina, there's nothing behind the painting. But Talbot, you'll notice that in the right light, as you move the painting, you will see a shimmer. And the shimmer is shaped like a bird perched on Regine's shoulder. As you perhaps maybe touch it with your fingers to confirm that there's paint there, that there's something there, I'm going to give you a condition, which is going to be, we're just going to call it the Raven. Note that on your conditions section of your character sheet.
For me?
No, that's for Talbot.
Oh, Talbot. Okay, sorry.
Talbot, do you share your discovery?
Yes, I point out. Have you seen this magnificent optical illusion? You tilt the painting correctly, and you see a picture of a raven upon Regine's painting.
I think when Talbot shows us that, I'm going to bring up the plaque that I found in the tunnels and say, I found something that I believe belonged to that skeleton in the tunnels that said she was trapped in that mausoleum by Regine and that the raven told her to do it.
Meanwhile, as soon as you
Fascinating.
share that, you hear some commotion coming from the stable. There's a little window on the far south west side of the balcony that looks out into the stable to the courtyard area. Blaine will run up and he'll be looking, and you can all go look. There's some kind of commotion going on in the stable, and the stable doors get slammed open, and all of your horses run. They're all bolting out of the fucking stable. He's like, that's what happened to our horses. And the horses they're fucking long gone.
You should have said that beforehand, good man.
What,
We
say
would
it
have
again?
taken. You should have told us that.
I did tell you that the horses got spooked. But we left them.
Right.
We tied them out on a post. I thought they'd be safe in the stable. I guess the ghost can reach every part of the house after all. So, Mouse, what are you doing?
I think that seeing the horses run off, like I just let out kind of an exasperated sigh. And I'm going to go back. I kind of want to just start looking around, I guess, since we're all up here, this top floor, like maybe walk down the hallways and just get kind of a feel for the layout up here.
Yeah, you can pop open a couple of doors just kind of to get a sense of things. And essentially, this is mostly bedrooms. It seems like it's mostly bedrooms, living quarters of various people. That's kind of the main sort of like thing of what's happening up here. I will tell you that far westerly kind of larger area on the upper floor is a library. You can tell that at a glance because there's books all over the place. And yeah, but it seems like it's mostly bedrooms and the library.
I will make sure to point the library out to Talbot.
Did someone say library?
God help me, I did.
Oh, very good. Give me just a moment. I'll look at something real fast. Speaking of the library, assuming Talbot and Mouse are kind of poking their head in there, there's a candle lit in the library.
Blaine, did you light this candle?
Mouse. Oh, Blaine. Oh, no, that's right. There's a character called Blaine. He says, no, I definitely didn't. I think there probably are squatters here after all.
I would venture you're right. And I turn to the rows of books and I look, and I'm looking for specifically books on family history, genealogy, the history of the manor, of the land itself.
Very good. You go inside, you're looking around. There is a candle lit. It's on a table next to an open book. Mouse, what are you doing?
I think Mouse is kind of just Nonchalantly looking, like I don't think there's anything in specific in this room that Mouse is interested in at this moment, at least. But I do think I want to spend another token to gain a treasure.
Okay, very good. We'll come back to that. Sister Reyna, what are you doing?
I think Sister Rena is still looking for the valuable thing that she thought would be behind the painting, right? Because I spent a token there. So
Oh, I didn't know you spent a token.
yeah.
Very good.
So
Behind
maybe
the
he's
paint,
kind of looking at the at the painting itself. Then, if there's nothing on the wall, or like
on the frame,
the
sorry,
frame.
on the frame, tied to the frame, there is a beautiful ornate silver key. Probably goes to something, but worth 1 gold to the right buyer. Talbot, you're in the library, and there is a candle on a table next to an open book. And so what are you doing again? You're searching through books on the shelves?
Yes. Looking for books on genealogy and the history of the family.
Sure. Go ahead and do a hunt roll.
Okay. I have skills are artifacts, myths, obfuscation, and transformation. Would any of those add to that?
I don't think so. I think it's because it's not really a myth as much as a history, I think, that we're looking for. So just do it at 1 die for now.
Okay, sounds good. I go to 4. I get a token, but I encounter something terrible.
Take your token. Here's a problem. You pull books off the shelves and the pages crumble away from the binding. Lots of the books are incredibly damaged. There is some kind of creature chewing away at the paper, just mowing through the books. And you'll hear a voice coming from a chair near that candle. It's a woman's voice, and it says, "Oh, those terrible creatures, they're going to destroy all the books if we don't do something about them. And then what will I do? How shall I spend my time?"
Ye gods.
What do you do?
Let me see what I can do.
The chair is facing away from you, so you can't see who's speaking. It's like a tall wingback chair.
Can I use the ritual of beacon to see nearby invisible beings or hidden objects shining with a fiery glow?
I don't think you even need to.
Oh.
If you just take a look around the way, you'll see the woman in the white dress with the black hair sitting next to the open book and the candle.
I was thinking more to use it on whatever is eating the books.
Okay, yeah. That will be fairly easy to discover once you start looking deeper. There is, in fact, an infestation of insects that eat paper.
Bloody bookworms. Oh, all right. I would say, I look at the ghost, and yeah, or whoever it is, and I say, yes, there's a ghost, but also, these books are getting damaged. I need these records. So I turn to Mouse and say, Mouse, my good friends, can you do anything about these paper devouring insects? Tons of vellum and hemp are being reduced to dust as we speak.
I don't. That is not something in my skill set, friend.
I think Sister Rena just comes into the room and says, like, I might have something. And she pulls out vermin repellent.
Do you have vermin repellent?
Yes.
Oh, capital idea.
I like it. That's very good. So do a risk roll, Sister Rena.
I think she will say, like, she looks at it and then she says, like, to the whole library, she looks in. I don't think it will be enough, but it might help for some particularly precious items?
It's certainly worth a try. And the knowledge in these books is more precious to me than anything. Please, I need your help.
I think this is a risk roll, Sister Reyna.
Sure.
You're trying to get rid of the bookworms. I think that's great. What, Mark and Blaine, what could go wrong here?
I think that oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's okay. I would say maybe perhaps one of these books is a trap, that there is an explosive trap carved away, hidden in one of the books. Like it's meant to act, it looks like a match. You open the book and it ignites a spark, and that spark sets off like a blast of flame that will hurt anybody do it. And so Sister Reyna's risk is she might, in a process of chasing away the vermin, she might open that book and activate that trap.
That's pretty good. I like that. I think that what could go wrong is maybe the vermin, maybe these bookworms are drawn to you all, like you repel them, but they kind of get in your belongings.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar. Maybe like the primary diet of these vermin are paper, but maybe they still will like bite to protect themselves. So possibly like getting some insect bites or a rash or something like that.
Yeah, that's good. So you've got a light die for the vermin repellent, Sister Reyna. No worries there. Anybody have any devil's bargains to offer?
My devil's bargain is you complete the task, you scare most of the worms away, but amongst the worm is a more clever version of those worms. One of those worms grew up with sentience, and that worm ends up attaching itself to you, burrowing in and whispering in your mind.
That'll have, yeah. So whether you succeed or not, that's a good one. Yeah. I like that a lot. I don't think I have anything better than that.
Yeah, that's good. My idea was that maybe in dealing with some of these books, Reyna learns something particularly unsettling about her past.
Oh, that could be fun too. Yeah. Well, what do you think, Reyna?
I like learning something about the past, I think. So yeah, so how can you maybe make that like how much more concrete does it have to be, or does it even?
I've got it handled. Don't worry about it if you want it.
Okay, yeah, I'll take that.
Okay. Risk 2, go for it.
No dark dice. All right, that's a 4.
Nice. The complication is just going to be that you have to spend the repellent, but otherwise you're good.
Yeah, I'll take that and I'll spend it.
So you're doing that. Meanwhile, the ghost. Mouse, you'll notice her first. She's gotten up from her chair. She's holding her candle. And she's watching what Sister Reyna is doing from a distance on the other side of the library. Just watching curiously, keeping an eye on all of you. And she seems a little nervous. Like if you look at her, she'll kind of like step away just a bit to where you just see the candlelight, not her so much. Mouse, what do you do?
I think that like Mouse is a bit unsettled by the ghost, but I think that Mouse is more unsettled by the idea of the raven, and is maybe like looking around the room to see if there is another presence here.
Talbot, what are you doing while you're waiting on Sister Raina to do this work?
I'm going to. There is still the book that is being lit by the one candle.
Well, so the candle's being held by the ghost now, but it was sitting next to a book on a table. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to look at the book on the table.
The book on the table is a book of poetry. And let's talk about the poetry. There is a half-written poem. The ink is still fresh on the open page. And the poem is called Thrice Cursed. And it seems to be about the Mistmoor family, though not enough of it has been finished to say anything of importance. You'll also notice that there's an ink pot and quill on the table as well. Mouse, as you are looking around the room trying to find the presence of the raven, the ghost keeping her distance in the shadows, she whispers to you, "That woman looks familiar to me." Talking about Sister Raina. "I've seen her before. Or someone like her in any case." And I think we'll just end there. We're a little long in this session, but if we want to do some quick stars and wishes, we can. So stars are things we enjoyed. Wishes are things we hope to see tomorrow. If anybody has anything they want to throw out, go for it.
I would say my stars are the in how well you detailed the mansion environment, that you really make it feel like a lived-in house from that like theater of the mind experience. In terms of wishes, I think I would love more points of lore, more writings, more paintings, more things to like I can build the lore around.
Yeah, I had a good time. I really enjoyed I enjoy this sort of like settling into this sort of haunting, the ghost story part of it. I'm enjoying the mystery. I know what the answer is, but like it's fun to kind of see the different parts of the dungeon come together. And it's interesting how like the different, like where you start really has a big effect on the story that you get, which is pretty intriguing. So I'm loving that. I guess my only wish is just to see if you achieve the evening set goal of learning the story of Regine and the Raven.
I think a star is definitely for both you, Jason, and the adventure. I do think that this is a really fun haunted house kind of. It sets itself up as a good traditional haunted house adventure really well, and I think you leaned into that well. I want to give a star to Mark. I absolutely love, as much as Mouse the character hates it, I love Talbot's kind of long rambling historical anecdotes. I think it has made this very entertaining.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know, like I don't think I have any specific wishes. I really like these characters. I really like their dynamic. I really like the setting, and I think I'm just excited to explore more of all of that.
Yeah, star for the system and the characters. I love how Trophy makes that possible to get this dynamic so quickly.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't know if anybody else has anything else to offer, but I will tell you that we're going to meet again tomorrow at the same time. And I look forward to continuing the story of Ghost of Mistmoor. Awesome. I'm going to stop the recording now.